it was hard to basically just sift through so many different candidates and just figure out who was the right fit and who was basically like the right skill level of what we were looking for and everything like that. And so much of our time was taken up at that sourcing stage, just even getting the right people in the door. Basically, Pesto just takes care of like that whole difficult part of the sourcing and vetting process for you. Like you immediately get candidates that are as close as possible to like what you're looking for already. Look, it turns out we interviewed 6 people and we hired 2. It's like that's a pretty insane rate.
What did your hiring process look like before you came to Pesto?
Totally. So there were multiple different steps to the hiring process. Started with sourcing, then we had a whole interview process that started with a take-home task, then an interview that was more of a programming interview, then more culture interviews and meeting with team and stuff like that. So basically, this kind of whole process. And honestly, the most difficult part ended up finding and sourcing candidates that would make it through like the initial stages and even get to the later parts of the interview process. And so we were trying to source from everywhere, like whether it was people we knew from the past, using things like AngelList, things online. So just trying to cast a really wide net and going through tons and tons of people to try to find who the right people would be.
Also, the moment you go remote, people in different countries, was that a problem to like figure out where to focus?
Yeah, I mean, totally. It was just like super broad, and it was hard to basically just sift through so many different candidates and just figure out who was the right fit and who was basically like the right skill level of what we were looking for and everything like that. And so much of our time was taken up at that sourcing stage, just even getting the right people in the door.
What are some other ways? I mean, apart from AngelList, you mentioned sourcing was like a big thing, and like I'm guessing pre-vetting people at the top of the funnel was a huge problem. Was there any other way you were looking at at hiring, like from the network or things
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that?
So yeah, definitely like people that we knew in our own networks, like friends of friends, um, any of our VCs that basically like had people in their talent portfolios who they would send over. We even tried like different like recruiting agencies for a period of time. Twitter, like all the usual, just kind of posting on media, job boards, Discord groups, Slack groups, like every place.
How long did it take to let's say, get like a decent pipeline
It
and
was taking a long time. Yeah, especially for like the types of roles that we were trying to hire for. Like we were looking for really strong front end engineers, specifically in crypto at that time. And it was just extremely hard to find like really, really good candidates there. And so, yeah, we would go like months without having someone who we felt like met the kind of bar we were looking for.
what were the goals that you were looking at when you decided to explore Pesto? What was your expectation?
Totally. Totally. I mean, honestly, like initially didn't really know what to expect. Was just like excited to try it out. Obviously knew you, Ayush, and like was very just like excited about what you were building as a person. And so we were, we felt good about it. And it was really, really cool. Like it basically Pesto just takes care of like that whole difficult part of the sourcing and vetting process for you. Like you immediately get candidates that are as close as possible to like what you're looking for already, so you're not sifting through tons and tons of resumes that you don't know the quality of. You have a bunch of high quality candidates in front of you, and you're trying to figure out who's going to be the best fit. And so, like, that really changes the game in terms of just making the process like smoother, faster. There's like more trust involved. Like, you guys specifically like figured out exactly what we were looking for, and like you yourself were like looking for like who were the right candidates who would fit what we want. Like every time you say this, it's like my favorite thing. You're like, I'm only giving you candidates I would hire myself, and so I know the bar is high, and it's just like it's a sense of trust. And I mean, everyone who you've recommended to us with that kind of lens has been incredible.
Do you remember how many interviews did it take for you to hire someone?
Oh man, I don't remember how many, but I remember it was a lot, and we were very very happy when we were able to bring on like um, you know the folks from Pesto who we brought on because it yeah was a process. And they were both just excellent.
How much time did you save interviewing from Pesto?
Tons, lots, because it's like when you interview, like kind of like you said, it turns out we interviewed 6 people and we hired 2. It's like that's a pretty insane rate. Like it's typically like hundreds, and you maybe get one. So
Yeah.
yeah, pretty crazy.
Got it. That's awesome. How was the process like while hiring from Pesto? Um, for you, from Pesto's team perspective, did you get enough support? And
I mean, it was incredible. Like you and I got to talk often, which was so much fun just generally. But anytime we had any questions, I know anything that we wanted to discuss, like always there, always understanding, always basically just like making sure you know exactly what we're looking for and matching us with the right people, helping us every step along the way, just like super, super top notch.
would you hire from Pesto again? And if yes,
100%.
why?
Not even a question. Easily. It's like some of the best people we've ever worked with, we've hired through Pesto. It's just like the first place we would go. It's like, why would I spend all this time going through this whole other process when I know that I can come to Pesto and just get to work with really incredible people?
Somebody who was considering hiring is thinking about how like Pesto is going to work. What would you recommend them? What to expect from Pesto, and how can they get started?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, basically, the way it worked for us was Pesto just understood our needs and what we were looking for as a first step, then basically found us candidates that fit that profile and made introductions to them. Those candidates were already pre vetted, so they already had like, questions answered and tasks done that we could take a look at. And then from there, we'd basically run a bit of our own process because we wanted to get to know them as well. So we did like our own coding challenge and then like our own interview with team members as well. And throughout that process, like the folks at Pesto are there if you have questions or to like help guide you, make sure things are moving along. And then you basically, get to the end of the process. You and the candidate decide like what makes sense or what doesn't. And yeah, that's kind of what the process looks like.
Wow, love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.